Okay, let's unpack this. Alcohol, it's maybe the most normalized substance in our culture, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's everywhere.
Yeah, the social lubricant, the thing for celebrations, and sometimes just that quiet tool to take the edge off a stressful day.
Hmm.
But there's this paradox, right? The better it seems to work for coping short term, the more power it actually has to become really destructive.
That's the core danger, yes.
So our mission today, we're looking at research from places like the NIAA, clinical insights from the Mayo Clinic, and treatment perspectives from New Life Recovery Centers in San Jose.
Good sources.
We want to find that critical point. It's often really subtle. When does that social drink, that casual glass of wine, cross the line, that invisible line into, well, alcohol use disorder?
It's a crucial question.
So we'll cover the definitions, those kind of sneaky warning signs, and then the whole range of recovery options available.
Right. And what's fascinating here is we actually have a baseline, an established measure for consumption from the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, the NIAA.
Okay, so what's the official line?
Well, they define moderate drinking, which is generally seen as, okay, health-wise, as up to 1 standard drink a day for women and up to 2 for men.
1 for women, 2 for men, daily.
Correct.
Yeah.
And when you look at, healthy drinking patterns, they're really characterized by choice, by managing consequences.
Meaning,
you're mostly drinking in social settings, so you can stop when you want to, easily. And you're definitely not leaning on it to handle big emotions, grief, anxiety, major stress.
right, no self-medicating.
Exactly. And, crucially, hangovers aren't messing up your work, your relationships, your responsibilities.
Okay, that NIAA definition is a useful starting point for sure. But I have to push back a little.
Okay.
What if someone, say a man, only drinks Friday and Saturday nights, but he has maybe 4 drinks each night? Technically, he's over that 2 drinks per day average for the week if you spread it out. So is the daily limit really the best guide? Or should we be looking more at the pattern of use, not just the volume?
That's a really important distinction.
Yeah.
While the daily limit is a solid health guideline, clinically, the pattern is absolutely the red flag we look for. We're getting into risky territory when we see binge drinking. That's 4 more drinks within about 2 hours for women, 5 or more for men.
Even if it's only once a week?
Even if it's only once a week. Because it signals a reliance on the effect of the alcohol. Using it consistently to, change how you feel or chase that heavy buzz, that's what starts paving the road towards alcohol use disorder, or AUD.
So it's less about the strict daily count and more about why and how you're drinking.
Precisely.
Yep.
And the Mayo Clinic defines AUD itself as, well, a medical condition. It's marked by this fundamental impairment, like a broken switch in your ability to control or stop drinking alcohol.
Even when it's clearly causing problems.
Yes, even with negative consequences in your social life, your job, or your health. And this condition, it's progressive. That's key. It tends to get worse over time if there's no intervention, no treatment.
That progression, that's what sounds so dangerous. It's not just about bad choices anymore. It physically and mentally changes you.
It really does. It starts subtly, kind of chipping away at physical health, raising risks for liver disease, heart problems, and mentally. It fuels issues like depression and anxiety, makes them worse.
Okay, so if that broken switch, that loss of control is happening, what are the clinical signs? The core symptoms that really show the line's been crossed and professional help is probably needed.
Right. Well, a big one is tolerance, developing tolerance.
Meaning you need more to get the same feeling.
Exactly. Needing more and more alcohol just to achieve the original effect you were looking for.
Can you give us like a real-world example? How does tolerance show up day to day?
Sure. It's a great question because tolerance doesn't just, announce itself loudly. It sneaks in. It might start really simply, maybe 1 glass of wine used to help you relax after work, but now it just doesn't quite do it.
So you pour a second one.
Right. Or maybe soon you find you could finish a whole bottle over an evening and feel okay. Whereas maybe half a bottle used to be your limit, maybe even felt like too much sometimes. Your body adapts chemically, but the brain is now essentially demanding a much higher dose just to feel somewhat normal.
Okay, tolerance is one. What else?
Other major red flags are intense cravings, these really strong, almost overwhelming urges to drink. Also, drinking in situations that are physically unsafe.
Like before driving.
Exactly, like drinking before driving or maybe operating machinery. Then there's neglecting responsibilities, work, school, home life because of drinking.
Things start falling through the cracks.
Yes. And finally, 2 really significant signs. repeatedly trying to cut back or stop drinking, but failing, and then experiencing withdrawal symptoms when you don't drink.
And those withdrawal symptoms, they sound terrifying. The shaking, sweating, nausea, that intense anxiety.
They can be very severe, yes.
But the thing is, the disorder rarely starts with withdrawal, does it? It usually begins with much quieter shifts, subtler changes.
That's absolutely right. Those early warning signs are so critical because catching it early, intervening early, drastically boosts the chances of long-term recovery.
Okay, let's focus on those early shifts then. What kind of behavioral changes should people, maybe look out for in themselves or others?
Well, often it involves frequency, just drinking more often than before.
Like maybe you only drank on weekends, but now it's most nights, just to unwind.
Precisely. Or maybe using alcohol specifically to manage emotions. After an argument, when you're stressed, feeling down, reaching for a drink becomes the default coping strategy.
Instead of, say, talking it out or going for a run.
Exactly. Another sign can be changes in your social circles. Maybe you start spending more time with people whose main activity is drinking heavily.
And then there's secrecy, right?
Yes, increased secrecy is a big one. Hiding bottles, maybe lying about how much you've actually had to drink, often out of shame or fear of judgment.
You might also notice neglecting hobbies, things you used to enjoy.
Definitely. That slow loss of interest in other things. The things that used to bring joy, that book club, exercise, creative pursuits, they start to fade because drinking takes up more mental and physical energy. Memory lapses or blackouts are also significant warning signs.
Not remembering parts of the night before.
But if we connect this back to the bigger picture, especially mental health, the link between alcohol and anxiety is fascinatingly counterintuitive.
How so? Because people drink to relieve anxiety, don't they?
Many do, yes.
Yeah.
That's often the initial motivation, especially with stress. Alcohol boosts GABA, an inhibitory neurotransmitter in the brain, which creates that temporary feeling of calm.
Okay, so it works initially.
Initially.
Yeah.
But it's like a chemical trick. The brain immediately senses this change and tries to compensate by ramping up glutamate, which is an excitatory chemical.
So the brain fights back. That's where the paradox you mentioned earlier comes in.
Exactly. When the alcohol starts to wear off, you're left with this glutamate surplus. This causes rebound anxiety, sometimes even worse than the original stress you were trying to escape in the first place.
Wow. So the cure actually makes the problem worse later on.
Precisely.
Yeah.
That's why some sources describe it perfectly as borrowing happiness from tomorrow to feel good today, and tomorrow that debt. It always comes due, usually with hefty interest. This often leads the person to drink again just to relieve the anxiety that the alcohol itself caused. That's the real, the vicious cycle of dependence.
Okay, so we've seen how that shift from, social drinking to struggling with AUD can be so subtle, almost invisible, especially to the person going through it. But once someone does realize, okay, I think I've crossed that line, the next question is often terrifying. Where do I even start to get help? What do I do?
That's a huge hurdle. Fear and uncertainty.
Yeah, and seeking help really is the bravest, most critical step anyone can take. For people who might be listening in the San Jose area, for instance, places like New Life Recovery Centers offer a full spectrum of care. It's designed to match the specific level of the disorder and, the person's individual needs.
Right. And when we talk about starting treatment, the absolute first priority is always safety. Always. Meaning, if someone has developed a physical dependence on alcohol, their very first step must be medical detoxification. We call it detox.
Why is that so critical?
Because alcohol withdrawal isn't just unpleasant. It can be genuinely life-threatening. There's a real risk of severe complications like seizures or a condition called delirium tremens, the DTs.
Okay, what are the DTs?
Delirium tremens is a state of profound confusion, severe agitation, hallucination sometimes, and extreme physical reactions like racing heart rate and high blood pressure. Medical emergency.
So trying to just tough it out at home could be incredibly dangerous.
Extremely dangerous. That's why a safe start means medically supervised detox. Facilities, including those in San Jose, provide this. Professionals monitor the person 24/7. They can administer medication to manage symptoms, keep them safe, keep them comfortable, and stabilize them before the deeper therapeutic work can even begin.
Okay, so detox handles the immediate physical crisis. Once someone is stable, what comes next? How do you match the care level to the person?
Great question. The intensity of care needs to match the severity of the AUD and the person's life situation. For someone with, say, severe, long-standing alcohol use, or maybe someone who also has co-occurring mental health conditions like major depression or anxiety,
Hmm.
or maybe someone who just doesn't have a supportive or safe home environment to return to immediately for them, inpatient rehab is often the most appropriate next step.
What does inpatient involve?
It offers the highest level of structure and support. You're living at the facility 24/7, removed from daily triggers and stressors. It involves intensive therapy, individual counseling, group therapy, evidence-based approaches, plus the benefit of living in a community of peers going through the same thing.
Right, that peer support must be powerful.
Incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Then, as someone becomes more stable, or perhaps for someone whose situation isn't quite as severe but still needs intensive support, there's a step down.
Okay.
That's the partial hospitalization program, or PHP. It's often called day treatment.
Day treatment, so you go during the day.
Exactly. It involves highly structured therapeutic programming for several hours each day, group sessions, individual counseling, maybe using methods like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, but clients return home or to a supportive living environment in the evenings. It's a great transition from inpatient or detox.
That makes sense. But what about people who, they have jobs or kids or school? They can't necessarily commit to inpatient or even full-day PHP.
Right. And that's where the flexibility of modern recovery programs really shines. There's the Intensive Outpatient Program, or IOP. Some places, like New Life, offer versions like a Super FLEX IOP, designed precisely for that situation.
Super FLEX IOP. Okay, what does that look like?
It's built for working professionals, students, parents, people who need strong, consistent support and therapy, but can't do the 24-hour supervision or full-day commitments.
So more flexible scheduling.
Yes. Sessions might be offered in the mornings, afternoons, or evenings, usually 3 to 5 times per week for a few hours each time. It provides that crucial structure, accountability, group therapy, individual counseling, but it allows people to maintain their jobs, their family life, their studies.
So it's a bridge, really, keeping you connected to treatment while you rebuild your life.
It's a critical bridge back to normalcy, yes, and often more affordable than inpatient care.
That flexibility seems key for long-term success.
It is, and that's why the initial assessment process is so absolutely vital. Figuring out which level of care, detox, inpatient, PHP, IOP is the right fit depends entirely on the individual.
What factors go into that assessment?
Things like the severity and history of their alcohol use, their overall physical and mental health, the stability and supportiveness of their living situation, their responsibilities, their motivation. It's a comprehensive look.
And places like New Life Recovery Centers in San Jose help with that, figuring out the right starting point.
Yes, comprehensive programs guide individuals through that assessment to ensure they get into the most appropriate and effective level of care for their specific situation. They also often help navigate insurance, which can be a big barrier for people.
Okay, so what does this all really mean for someone listening who might be struggling or knows someone who is?
Well, I think maybe the single biggest obstacle isn't always the addiction itself. It's the shame, the stigma.
That feeling that it's a moral failing,
Yeah.
lack of willpower.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we just have to reject that completely. Alcohol use disorder is a recognized medical condition, just like diabetes or heart disease. It affects the brain.
So seeking treatment isn't weakness.
Absolutely not. Seeking treatment is a profound act of strength. It's taking control back.
And the environment where that treatment happens matters too, doesn't it?
Hugely. You often hear this in client testimonials. People don't just talk about the therapy techniques, they talk about the feeling of the place.
Like what?
Like feeling supported, understood. Being in a warm, sort of familial setting, you hear phrases like a home away from home. It's about the caring staff, the connection with peers, feeling safe and comfortable. That supportive environment is crucial for healing.
Because it's not just about stopping the drinking.
No, not at all. Good treatment programs focus on addressing the root causes of the addiction, the underlying pain, trauma, mental health issues, and equipping people with the tools, the coping skills, for lasting long-term recovery.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah.
From those NIIAA limits, which kind of start the conversation,
The baseline.
to spotting those subtle shifts, the pattern changes, the secrecy that signal real trouble brewing.
The early warnings.
And finally, understanding that there is help. A whole spectrum of care, like the options available in San Jose, designed to meet people where they are.
From detox all the way through flexible outpatient support.
Yeah. It offers hope.
It absolutely does. And maybe this raises a final thought, something for you, the listener, to consider.
Okay.
We know recovery is this huge long-term investment in your future strength, right? Protects your health, your career, your relationships, things alcohol actively works to destroy.
Right.
So if you recognize some of these signs, if you feel caught in that cycle of borrowing happiness from tomorrow, what are you waiting for today to essentially declare emotional bankruptcy on that short-term debt that alcohol insists on collecting tomorrow with interest? Making that choice, taking that first step towards reclaiming your strength, that option is always there today.